thing that happened in Galveston is that the population had a dramatic decrease. It was over close to 60,000 before Ike, and now it's down to closer to closer to 40,000.
Okay, so that's you hit on what my next question was. What's happened to the residential population of Galveston as a result of Ike?
Well, that's it. And we have lost, I say we, I'm one who moved. My wife and I moved back to Houston after Hurricane Ike, not because of Hurricane Ike, but because our businesses, basically most of our businesses here in Houston. We still very much cover Galveston. I'm there 2 or 3 times a week. But the population has decreased, and it lost its urban standing in federal government. It's now called a large rural area. And this it has an impact on its transit funding and all sorts of other things. In fact, our regional council of governments is called the Houston Galveston Area Council. Well, actually, with Galveston's loss of population, it does not qualify for the position it's in the HGAC now. It's grandfathered in, and there's no talk about removing it and making it the Houston Council, but as opposed to removing Galveston. But it was a big impact on the population. In fact, on the 2010 census, the previous mayor was asking people who were staying with relatives on the mainland to please come back to Galveston on April 1st, which was Census Day, so that they could be counted. It was really a
wow.
comedy.
And I'm sure there's been a tremendous impact on the tax rolls.
Oh, yes.
Would you say that it's a particular demographic of the population that's left? Is it poor people? Were there people who, do you have to be wealthier? There's speculation here that in a particular part of Long Beach, which we call the West End, which has a lot of bungalows, and it's a very kind of beachy community, really a lot of fun to spend time. These bungalows, many of them are not going to survive, and some of the people who, some of the people are able to come back, but some of them, especially those who inherit the homes and didn't need to get insurance because they didn't have mortgages, just can't come back. Hopefully they will, and hopefully they can. We want them back, but there's speculation that part of Long Beach is going to change demographically as people don't come back, and as you need more money to buy homes that are FEMA compliant and that maybe have a higher tax burden on them and cost more.
Yeah, there are so many variables. Galveston is a tourist community. First and foremost, I'd say that tourism is one of the mainstays, and the tourism industry is continuing to thrive. The downtown Strand area, which was a Victorian era.
A historic place.
Yes, yeah. That suffered quite a bit business-wise, but the beachfront has continued to thrive. They
have attractions now that they didn't have before.
Solon Fertitta has built a new pleasure pier where the old flagship hotel was.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's continuing to thrive. The downtown area is coming back as not as a retail, but as tourism related. And the University of Texas Medical Branch, which is the biggest employer on the island, it continues to thrive. As a matter of fact, there was talk of shutting it down or decreasing the size of it and moving its medical school elsewhere. It was the first medical school in the state of Texas. But State Representative Craig Island and others politically managed to save it, and a new hospital was built. So the UTMB system is back full swing and is doing well. So you asked about the type of people who remain. We have a paucity of middle class. There are a lot of wealthy people who work in the university system, and there are a lot of poor people. But the middle class basically lives in North County, in Friendswood, and League City. Uh, and the school system suffered tremendously because
Interesting.
with the middle class families leaving. And this was a problem that existed before I, but it.
Think it was exacerbated by the storm?
Yes, yes. And then, of course, there's in Galveston County, there's also the Bolivar Peninsula, which is, I'm sure that if you recall pictures, there was one yellow house that remained.
That's right.
Yeah. And there were other homes that survived on the peninsula, but that particular area was swept clean. There was not even debris. And it's coming back as well.
Really?
And it's coming back with beach homes, very expensive beach homes. One thing that has occurred, and I'm sure it's the same in your area, building standards have been beefed up so that a home now or even a beach house can withstand hurricane force.
That's right.
That's right. It's the water.
That's right, and they have to be built higher, and but that all costs something. In fact, here we have a particular problem that the people who work for the New York Rising, the Community Block Development Grant people, haven't figured out yet. And when they look at the estimates, or when they give us, when they say, well, here's what we'll give you to lift your home for the mitigation, because a lot of us are in that. We've either rebuilt or haven't rebuilt, and we have to look at mitigation costs. Well, Long Beach is built on a fill, and it's very soft. The soil is very soft. So when we do soil testing, we find that we've got to sink helical piles or some kind of piles 30, 40 feet into the ground, which they cost somewhere around $1,000 each, and you need maybe 30 of them per house. And then you have to affix those to your new raised foundation. So you have the cost of raising the house, which is $20,000 to $30,000, the cost of your new foundation, which is somewhere around the same. You got these helical piles, which is that again, and affixing them to the house. So the word's got to get out about that we need to have that, because that's a simple engineering fact.
Right. Well, the properties that were built to the modern building codes did not suffer any damage, or did not suffer any great damage. Everybody suffered a little damage. You can't have a storm like that without some damage.
Right. So to sum this up, would you say it seems like the character of Galveston has changed? It had been a particular kind of community, a bigger community, somewhat more diverse. School systems were a little bit more diverse, and now it's a little more polarized. Would you say, at least economically?
I think that it's not. I think that the extremes were there before, and I think that when everything comes to rest, it'll be pretty much the same as it always has been. It's not a rich community. It's a nice community. It's a great place to live, a great place to work, and it's a great place to vacation, a great place to visit.
It sounds like a lovely place. In my initial research about Galveston, in trying to find out how it came back and how other places came back from the hurricane, what struck me was must have been a Chamber of Commerce that I was looking at, because it talked about how Galveston is even better than before, and how it was made to be a destination, and sites were built, and I don't know, rides or amusement parks or things like that were built that would help bring people in to help grow the community and bring tourist dollars in, which struck me as a pretty smart, forward-thinking thing to do.
Talking about the Chamber of Commerce, so that I don't want to stress the dysfunctional nature of Galveston but you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, and I had great friends in the Chamber, have for years, but their office was on the ground floor of probably 6 blocks from the waterfront, and it's the oldest Chamber of Commerce in the state of Texas. And all of its documents, its wall hangings, and everything was covered with 7 to 8 feet of water.
Wow.
The reason I keep mentioning it is it's going to happen again. And that's why, and one more thing on the storm surge, we talking about Galveston, and that's what you wanted to talk to me about.
Yep.
The storm surge from Hurricane Ike extended as far as the Louisiana border and actually into the South Louisiana. They had storm surge there.
Really?
Bridge City, which is 100 miles from here, it had the same type of flooding. My brother-in-law's house in Port Arthur was flooded in part because of a seawall in Port Arthur that caused the backwash onto his community. So the storm surge thing is it's a clear and present danger, and it's coming back.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Just one last thing. That seawall, when was that built, and how long did it take?
Okay, the 1900 storm was in 1900. I believe the seawall was started a couple of years later.
Oh.
And it was not completed, actually, until the 60s. It was built in stages. And so it took a while, but the 1915 storm, which they say was similar to the 1900 storm, did not cause as much damage because of the seawall that had been built at the time.
And of course, Ike would have been much worse had it not been for the seawall.
Right. But basically, the seawall, though, is 17 feet. That's designed to, and the whole category system and the Saffir-Simpson scale and all that, it's become a little meaningless because it does not speak to storm surge. But I was always told that the seawall was built to withstand a Category 3 storm. Well, if there were a Category 4 storm, water would come over the top of it. Category 5 storm, it would be just another disaster. So I don't know why they settled on that, but basically you don't have too many Category 4 or Category 5 storms.
Right, but it did not stop Hurricane Ike. It did not completely protect against Hurricane Ike.
No, but we'll see where the storm surge from Hurricane Ike was on both sides of the seawall at the entrance to the Houston and Galveston ship channels. That's where the Ike dike would have the floodgates, the ones that open and close. And likewise at San Luis Pass, which is on the other end of the island. If that were the case, then the seawall would do its job. It was the water coming in through the Houston ship channel and around the other side of the island that flooded Galveston Bay that caused this back surge.
Yeah. Now, there's never been any talk about encircling the island with a wall?
Oh, sure. Oh, you mean a rig levee? Yes, as a matter of fact, after Hurricane Carla, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers came up with a plan for a rig levee that would extend the existing seawall around the island to the ship channel where the port is and provide a rig bearing. At the same time, Texas City, which is right across Galveston Bay, did put in an Army Corps of Engineers seawall, a rig levee, and it did protect their city. They had no storm surge from Ike. But the reason that Dr. Merrill at A&M and others are opposed to ring dikes or not enthusiastic about them is because it causes collateral damage to those who are not behind the dike. It exacerbates the flooding of other areas. The coastal spine would stop the water from getting into Galveston Bay at all. It would totally block the surge.
Well, if Galveston is an island,
yes,
and if it were ringed with a protective wall, where would the extra water go? To the mainland?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. To Texas City, to Bolivar, yes. You got to pay the piper.
Yeah, I would have thought that the ocean is just so big that amount of dispersal wouldn't make a difference. But I'm no scientist.
Well, no, if you block it, it would make no difference to the ocean. But if it goes around the island, that allows more water to go further up north into the other areas.
Oh, I see.
And see, now New Orleans has ring levees, and they are effective. but they only protect that which is within the ring. And protecting Galveston Island, basically, would not make sense, the cost of it, economically to the federal government or to the rest of the nation. Protecting the Houston Ship Channel and the petrochemical industry would.
Interesting. Very interesting. And as you say, it's not a question of if it's going to happen again, but when.
Exactly.
Okay. Jim Guidry, Guidry News Service, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Dave. I've enjoyed this.
My pleasure.